Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the March 3rd, 2026 City Council meeting. Please note that Mary Ulloa has an excused absence. I'm going to ask Council Member Comstock to please lead us in the flag salute. Please stand.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please join me in saluting our nation's flag? Ready? Begin. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you very much. You can be seated. We have a proclamation, National Nutrition Month. It's my honor this evening to recognize March 2026 as National Nutrition Month right here in the city of Chino. Will Rachel Phelps, Chino Community Services Parks and Recreation Coordinator, Amy Wong, Nutrition Supervisor, Chino Valley Unified School District, and Sandra Ponce, Nutrition Services Technician, Chino Valley Unified School District, please join us up front. Thank you very much. I would like to present you with a proclamation, and I would like to ask you to say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Burton and members of the council. I'm honored to accept this proclamation on behalf of Healthy Chino. We have a lot of fantastic programming in the city that represents nutrition and educates the community, such as our health workshops hosted by IAHP, as well as Healthy Grilling, which is hosted at the Chino Community Garden. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Amy. I am the nutrition supervisor from Chino Valley Unified School District. In a daily average school day, we serve about 4,000 breakfast and 12,000 lunch daily in an average count among the 32 schools that we have in Chino Valley. Big shout out to our team, all the amazing lunch ladies and gentlemen out there who provide excellent service to our students daily. And also our amazing team, nutrition services team, to provide any support to our school site and to make sure our students receive nutritious meals every day. This month is the Nutrition Month, National Nutrition Month, so we're kicking off to celebrate this month by celebrating National School Breakfast Week. And we provide new items to our elementary school breakfast this week. And so have your student to come join us for fresh breakfast, delicious fruit. We provide seasonal fruit. We have extensive menu for secondary school site. For example, carne asada bowl, stick bowl. We have the new dumpling veggies bowl for our secondary school. So if you have any students in our district, welcome to join us for breakfast and meal. And all the students will receive free breakfast and lunch daily with Chino Valley Unified School District. Thank you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Sandra Ponce, and like Amy said, our department is really big on nutritious options for our students, breakfast and lunch, and I'm just having the privilege and the honor to be part of this wonderful department.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I think about that. Carne asada, does it get any better than carne asada? And it's supposed to be nutritious. Is that possible? But it's good. Let's get a photo. Thank you very much. And next we have the Mayor's Home Beautification Award. The winners of this month's Mayor's Home Beautification Award, the Nemeth family of Lakazi Court, could not be here this evening. So we're going to go ahead and deliver their award at a later date and time, but they have a nice looking home there. And if you can look up at the monitors, but outstanding. Thank you very much, Matt. Appreciate it. City Attorney Galente, would you please report out of closed session?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, and all those present. The City Council met in closed session, held a discussion on the two items listed on the closed session portion of the agenda, with the first item being conference with legal counsel, one item of anticipated litigation under the heading significant exposure to litigation. City Council received a briefing and no further reportable action was taken. Item number 2, conference with real property negotiator concerning the property on 4400 Philadelphia Street, Space 10 in the city of Chino, with the negotiating party being Lamplighter Chino LLC, and under negotiation are the price and terms of potential sale of property interest. City Council received a briefing, provided direction, and no further reportable action was taken. That concludes the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Appreciate that. Assistant City Manager Jackie Melendez, do we have any additions or revisions?
No additions or revisions, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. And now we're going to go on to public announcements. First, the annual Chino Youth Museum Derriere Fairy Tale 5K and Fun Run is just days away. Join us on Saturday, March 7th, as hundreds of community members of all ages run and walk the course around Ayala Park. This year's theme is fairy tale, and you're encouraged to wear your best fairy tale costume. All proceeds from the Derriere will go toward the exceptional programming at the Chino Youth Museum. To learn more and to register, please visit chinoyouthmuseum.com. Next, you're invited to celebrate health, wellness, and fun at our annual Healthy Family Day on Saturday, March 28th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Neighborhood Activity Center. Healthy Family Day is a wonderful event focused on the promotion of health, physical fitness, and nutrition for the entire family. Healthy Family Day will feature family fun, competitions, kids' activity stations, a superhero meet and greet, a photo booth, and more. Come join the fun, learn more at thecityofchino.org/HFD. And if you prefer to hop into fun this Easter season, join us for the annual Easter Bunny Extravaganza. It used to be Egg Extravaganza. What happened to that? Happening on March 28th at 10 a.m. at the Chino Youth Museum. The Easter Bunny Extravaganza is the perfect festive event for your little ones and will feature a basket full of exciting activities such as a holiday scavenger hunt, cheerful crafts, story time, and a photo op with the Easter Bunny, hands-on exhibit play, and sweet Easter egg favors. Registration closes on March 13th, so don't delay. Hop on over to thecityofchinoyouthmuseum.com to learn more. Probably the best thing about all this stuff is absolutely free. The Derriere, there's a cost. It's a fundraiser for the Youth Museum, but there's so much going on in this city. Our programming is outstanding, and if there is a fee, it's so nominal, and we'll work with you to take care of that as well. So visit us at these events. This is the time and the place for the general public to address the City Council about subjects that do not appear elsewhere on the agenda. And our first request is going to be Joshua Gaunt, Sunrise Church, Chino Campus. If you'll join us in the invocation, if you so inclined, you can stand.
Thank you so much for having Sunrise Church. We are new to a Chino address, but not new to the Chino area, so we're very honored to be here this evening. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, I just thank you so much for your providence. I thank you so much for your sovereignty, but I thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to serve those around us, to serve our community, Lord. I thank you for the role of local government, and I just pray for the city council members to make decisions that honor you and honor their community, Lord. And again, thank you for the opportunities that you give us to serve the people that are around us, Lord God. Please help us to be wise in our decision-making and everything that we do. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Josh. And our next request to speak will be Melissa Campani from Supervisor Kurt Hagman's office. Melissa?
Well, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Burton, council members, staff, and of course, community members. My name is Melissa Campani, and I am here to announce a couple of events that are coming up. And now that we're here at springtime, the events are everywhere. So are the allergies, so be careful out there. Supervisor Hagman has a couple of very popular events that are about to happen, so please take note should you need any shredding. The next event will be held in our neighboring city of Montclair, and it is available to all of our Chino residents, in addition to residents of the 4th District of San Bernardino County. The date is March 14th, which is a Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon, or until the shredding trucks reach capacity. The location is Montclair City Hall. Address is 5111 Benito Street in the city of Montclair. It is a free event, there again, for residents of the 4th District of San Bernardino County. We do ask that you limit your shredding materials to 3 standard size filing boxes. I know you all have shredding materials out there, so I encourage you, let's get rid of them. Let's get rid of that important paperwork. If you're not ready, I know we do have other events around the corner, but I almost shouldn't say that because it's time to get those out of the house and get them disposed of. And I know that the flyer will be going up on the Channel 3 after the council meeting. And I can't tell you how popular this next event was, and it really was a touching event. Supervisor Hagman hosted a low-cost spay, neuter, and vaccine clinic. It was sold out. It was overwhelming to see the people who wanted to come out to take care of their animals. Now, it does sell out. So for the spay-neuter portion, it is only $50. That is a huge relief to many people. The prices have gone very high for that. The registration opens March 20th at 10 a.m. Not 10:15, not 10:30, 10 a.m. And it goes quick. So I'm just trying to give everybody here a heads up. So this will be taking place March 27th. And the Chino Valley YMCA has generously offered their parking lot to the PAW Mission, who is actually doing the work here for us. And the address is 5665 Edison Avenue. And once again, this is open to all residents in the cities of Chino, Chino Hills, Montclair, Ontario, and Upland, the 4th District of San Bernardino County. And this is a good one. You don't need to register for the backside of my paper. So at the same time we have the spay-neuter event going on, the PAW Mission is also offering vaccines to all cats and dogs from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You do not need a reservation for this portion of the event. We have some prices here on our flyer for many different vaccines that are available. The prices are very reasonable. You can always take a look online or scan. I know, Mr. Flores, scan the code. However, these flyers will be on after the council meeting. I thank you very much and for everyone in Chino for their participation with these very, very important events. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is the consent calendar. Do any council members wish to have any consent calendar items pulled? No. Seeing none, I'm going to request a motion and a second on the consent calendar. Verbal.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Motion from Councilmember Lucio, second on Councilmember Flores. Please vote electronically. It's not coming up.
Verbal?
Can we do a verbal?
Sure. Councilmember Lucio,
Yes.
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Comstock,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burton.
Yes.
Thank you.
And the item passes 4 yes, 1 absent, the mayor being absent. Next on the agenda is public hearing. This will be the formation of Community Facilities District 2026-1, The Meadows. The public hearing is now open. Staff report by Nadine Lowry, Deputy Director of Finance, and Heidi Webb Municipal Finance. Please forgive me, Heidi. Can you tell me how to pronounce your last name so I don't put Sheppy? Very good. Would anybody, I'm sorry, go ahead with your report.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the City Council. This evening, we are bringing forward the actions required to form the Community Facilities District number 2026-1, the Meadows, along with the improvement areas 1, 2, and 3. As you recall, the City Council adopted the resolutions of intent on January 20th, and tonight's public hearing and related actions complete the formation process under the Melrose Community Facilities Act. The proposed CFD will finance the city's development impact fees and required infrastructure improvements for 516 homes within the Meadows project, as well as provide ongoing funding for municipal services within this district. The item before you includes acceptance of the tax consultant's report, adoption of the formation resolutions, the landowner election, and introduction of the special tax ordinance. To provide the council with an overview of the structure and the steps required this evening, I'd like to invite Heidi Sheppy from Webb Municipal Finance to present this item.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. This evening I have a brief presentation for you to outline the CFD, the steps for this evening, and then the recommendations before you. So CFD 2026-1, the Meadows, is located east of West Preserve Loop and north of Pine Avenue. As mentioned, it will consist of 3 improvement areas and is anticipated to have 516 single-family homes. The CFD will finance both facilities and services for the city. The next 3 slides are showing the boundaries of the CFD. You've seen this particular boundary map before. This is the recorded version that has been recorded at the County Recorder's Office. Next slide. And next slide. So 3 maps. Next. So as mentioned, the resolution of intention meeting was on January 20th, where council approved resolutions of intention to form and incur bonded indebtedness. Before you this evening is the public hearing and election, and then following pending approval of this evening's proceedings will be a second reading of the ordinance on March 17th. Next slide. So recommended actions this evening are to adopt Resolution 2016-014, establishing CFD 2026-1, authorizing the levy of special taxes and calling the election. The adoption of Resolution 2026-015, which determines the necessity to incur bonded indebtedness. Adopting Resolution 2026-016, declaring the results of the election and directing the recording of the special tax lien. And then approving the introduction of Ordinance 2026-002 to levy the special tax, and then authorizing your city manager to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the city. Are there any questions for us this evening?
Any questions? I'm going to ask if there's anybody in the audience that'd like to address the council on this issue. Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comments on this. Public hearing is now closed. At this time, we're ready to call for a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2026-014 and 2026-015. Can I get a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion.
Motion from Councilman Lucio,
I'll make the second.
second from Councilmember Comstock. Please vote. And the item passes 4 yes with the mayor absent. The resolution that we have just adopted establish Community Facilities District 2026-1, the Meadows, and Improvement Area 1, 2, and 3, authorize the levy of special taxes within improvement areas in accordance with the adopted rate and method of apportionment. determine the necessity to incur bonded indebtedness, and call for election within improvement areas, which election is to be held at this time by the city clerk. I'm going to call for Natalie to go ahead and open up the ballots.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. All ballots have been cast in connection with the election for Community Facilities District 2026-1, the Meadows and Improvement Areas number 1, 2, and 3 of the City of Chino, and the election has now been closed. The results of the election were unanimous with all votes in favor of all propositions.
Okay. Having heard the statement of the city clerk, I will now entertain a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-016, certifying the results of the election, along with the introduction of Ordinance 2026-002, authorizing the levy of the special tax and the bonded indebtedness within the district. I'm going to request a verbal motion and a second.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Councilmember Lucio,
I'll make the second.
second by Councilmember Comstock. Please vote.
Actually, if I may.
Oh,
read the-
and I apologize. Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Council. One point of clarification before I read the title is that the second reading of this ordinance will actually take place on March 24th. Our normal March 17th meeting was pushed to the 24th. So with that notation in the record, the City Council is considering adoption of the following ordinance, which I will read by title and waive further reading. The council will waive further reading. Ordinance number 2026-002, entitled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Chino, California, acting in its capacity as the legislative body of Community Facilities District number 2026-1, the Meadows, of the City of Chino, authorizing the levy of special taxes within the Community Facilities District and Improvement Area numbers 1 through 3 therein. And that concludes the reading.
Thank you, City Attorney. We have a motion and a second. I'm going to ask you all to vote now.
If it's not working, I'll take a verbal.
Let's take a verbal. Thank you.
Councilmember Lucio.
Yes.
Councilmember Comstock.
Yes.
Councilmember Flores.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burton.
Yes, and the item passes 4 yes with the mayor absent. On to new business. The next item is to accept Safe Streets and Roads for All SS4A grant award and establish a new capital improvement program CIP budget. Staff report by Dennis Rawls, City Traffic Engineer, and Heejin Lee, the Director of Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. Tonight for your consideration is the acceptance of a grant for Safe Streets and Roads for All. Next slide, please. The Safe Streets and Roads for All grant is a grant through the Federal Highway Administration and is funded through the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. Staff applied for a grant and was awarded $400,000 when matched with $100,000 in local match. Will be a $500,000 project for the development of a comprehensive safety action plan. The safety action plan is a requirement for future federal funding for traffic safety projects. This builds upon the City of Chino's recently adopted local roadway safety plan that the council adopted a few years ago that was funded through state grants. Similarly to this will build upon that effort and expand upon it. Next slide, please. The Comprehensive Safety Action Plan has several components that will be required. Those include a commitment by the City Council for the adoption of a resolution that will come to you in the future for a Vision Zero. That's a nationwide program that attempts to really eliminate roadway fatalities and severe injuries through a comprehensive approach. With that, there's a development structure to create a committee of oversight to ensure that we're on target to meet those goals. We will be doing a comprehensive safety analysis of not only vehicle collisions, but we'll be focusing on railroad crossings, pedestrians and bicyclists and e-bikes, as well as our transit system. That will help us develop a high incident network map, which is a map that will highlight where our hotspots are in the city and will help us identify projects in the future. This will be done with a large collaboration and community engagement. We expect that a robust outreach program that'll take a year. We'll be going out to the community, meeting with stakeholders and community groups to get their input on what they feel is unsafe about the city, to make sure that that's all taken in as input. The plan will also include an assessment of our policies and processes, and make recommendations to change those procedures to make sure that we're adopting policies and procedures that lead us towards a Vision Zero. The plan will identify projects and strategically create those using a data-driven process. It'll be backed and supported by evidence and supported by the community outreach that we've gathered from our stakeholders, and create a prioritization of projects for us to then program future safety projects with. All of this will be measured through a measurable plan that will be brought before that committee annually for progress as we reach our goals of trying to eliminate all fatals on our roadways. Next slide, please. Just to kind of go over the funding again, we've been awarded $400,000 in federal highway reimbursement grant. We are going to be asking the City Council to allocate $100,000 in Measure I fund balance for a project total not to exceed $500,000. Next slide, please. Our timeline with the adoption today in March 2026, if the council so agrees, to accept the grant, we then plan to put out an RFP for professional services at the beginning of next fiscal year. Then we'll spend the next 2 years developing that plan, grabbing the data, processing it, going out, doing our public outreach, and performing all those actions that were previously described, with the intention to complete the plan by the end of fiscal year 27-28. Next slide, please. Therefore, it's staff recommendation to adopt Resolution 2026-017, accepting the $400,000 in SS4A grant funds, establish the grant and appropriate grant funding for G7265 in the amount of $400,000, establish the project and appropriate the local match to MS266 for $100,000 for our Measure I fund balance, and authorize the city manager to execute all related documents, including the SS4A grant agreement, which is included in the staff report. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Like to ask any questions? Seeing none, I'm going to open it up for council comments. Any council comments? Karen, nothing? Karen?
Dennis, thank you for the presentation. I do have a couple questions. Once the project is selected through the RFP, we have done this in the past, will it come back to the Infrastructure and Streets Committee for primary review?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The second thing is, once we identify the project and the scoping and the cost, how long do we have to complete the work and complete the grant?
The grant is only for the creation of the plan, which will identify future projects.
Okay.
So then, once the plan's created, that will help guide as we complete our 5-year CIP project lists every year. That will help inform where we might need to focus our intention on.
Okay. Thank you. That's technical.
Any other questions? Seeing none, going to ask for a motion and a second.
Yeah, I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Motion by Councilmember Flores, second by Councilmember Lucio. Please vote. The item passes 4 yes with a mayor absent. Now moving on to item number 7, the purchase order approval of additional police department handheld and vehicle radios with Motorola Solutions for projects NC221 and NC222. Staff report by Musette Ayala, Senior Management Analyst, and Hajan Lee, Director of Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the City Council. Tonight, I'm presenting a request to approve a purchase with Motorola Solutions, Inc. for the purchase of additional police department handheld and vehicle radios for the PD Handheld Radio Replacement Project NC221 and the PD Vehicle Radio Replacement Project NC222. The city operates the radio system utilized by the Chino Police Department, allowing communication between officers, dispatch, and neighboring agencies. The County of San Bernardino is the primary agency that oversees the system, providing access to local agencies through contracted services. Although the county is responsible for the access, the city is responsible for the purchase, replacement, maintenance, repair, and programming of the radios connected to the system. Next slide, please. In 2021, the City Council approved 2 5-year radio replacement projects to replace all of the city handheld and vehicle radios for the police department. Over the last 5 years, the city has replaced approximately 105 handheld and 70 vehicle radios. Staff's effort to replace these, including dispatch communication radios, are nearly completed as there are only 14 handheld and 9 vehicle radios remaining to be replaced. The purchase of the radio also includes software licensing, warranty, chargers, and its needed accessories to function. Since the original project approvals, radio unit pricing, programming, and associated support costs have increased due to manufacturer price adjustments. As you'll notice in the table, this year we've used the allocated funding from fiscal year 24-25 as a result of delays in shipping and delivery of the radios. As the current fiscal year 25-26 is the final year of both projects, additional funding to purchase the final radios is required. On December 7, 2021, the City Council also approved Motorola Solutions as a selected vendor to provide both handheld and vehicle radios over the 5-year period. So just under the, next slide please, sorry. So under the appropriation amount column, the total appropriation is just under $200,000 for a combined total amount of $2,020,339.97. Failure to replace the remaining radios would require continued use of aging and increasingly unsupported equipment, increasing the risk of communication failures that could impact officer safety, dispatch coordination, and emergency response capabilities. Next slide, please. Therefore, staff recommends that the City Council approve the appropriation of $199,203.75 from the Equipment Management Fund 660 budget surplus, with an increase of $126,332.95 to Project NC221 and $72,870.80 to Project NC222. Additionally, staff recommends the approval to purchase the additional handheld and vehicle radios for the Chino Police Department to Motorola Solutions, Inc. for a total of $199,203.75, authorizing the city manager to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the city. And that concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Great, thank you very much. I'm going to open this up. Anybody in the audience like to ask any questions regarding this item? Seeing none, I'm going to open it up for council comments. Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion and a second, please.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Flores, second by Councilmember Lucio. Please vote. And the item passes 4 yes with the mayor absent. Thank you very much. Next item is establishment of a nonprofit community foundation. Staff report by our Assistant City Manager, Jackie Melendez.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the City Council. Tonight's item proposes the establishment of a nonprofit community foundation to support the City of Chino's growing efforts in donor relations, grant funding, corporate responsibility, and community partnerships. Throughout the year, the city works closely with businesses, organizations, and residents who generously contribute to community programs and charitable initiatives. As these efforts expand, we've identified the need for a more flexible and strategic structure to receive and allocate funds, particularly for projects that benefit parks and recreation, public safety, public art, economic development, special events, and broader community services. Staff is recommending the creation of a tax-exempt California nonprofit public benefit corporation, which we are proposing to name the Chino Community Foundation. This structure would allow the city to pursue additional funding streams, including grants and philanthropic opportunities that the city as a municipal agency may not otherwise qualify for. It would also enable the foundation to re-grant funds to local nonprofits and community-based organizations, keeping more resources circulating within the Chino community. Now, to establish the nonprofit, articles of incorporation would be filed with the California Secretary of State, followed by IRS filings to obtain 501c3 tax exempt status. The approval process currently takes about 9 months, and staff would also prepare bylaws and establish a governing board. As outlined in the staff report, there 3 options were evaluated for establishing the governing board structure of the Chino Community Foundation. Each option carries implications for board control, donor confidence, and ease of fundraising. Option 1 is the City Council serves as the board. Under this approach, the foundation operates as the arm of the city with control vested in the 5-member City Council. While this allows for streamlined meeting schedules that can coincide with council meetings, it offers no private sector representation. The structure may also limit fundraising capacity, as some donors may be hesitant to contribute to an entity that might be considered political. Option 2, 2 council members serve on the board, and other members of the community can also be serving as members. This model blends public and private representation by including 1 or 2 council members alongside other appointed members. A mixed structure can enhance donor confidence by reducing perceptions of political influence and positioning the foundation as a public-private partnership. The third option, which is the city staff serves on the board, this option provides broader representation, reduces political perception, and is most favorable for cultivating private sector support. Option 3 is the preferred structure because it best aligns with the city's goals and improves donor confidence while maintaining an appropriate level of city engagement. Staff is recommending option 3, which creates a board comprised entirely of city staff members, specifically members of the executive management team. Under this model, the city manager would serve as the board chair, the assistant city manager as the secretary, the finance director as treasurer, and the community services director and chief of police would serve as at-large members. This approach allows for strong oversight, maintains alignment with city priorities, and importantly, positions the foundation as a non-political entity, which is shown to encourage greater donor participation. With this model, staff proposes annual reporting to the council to ensure transparency and accountability. Regarding fiscal impacts, the impacts are low, with all funds being allocated in this fiscal year, the fiscal year 25-26. Therefore, staff recommends the recommendations outlined in the staff report, approve the adoption of Resolution 2026-18, approving the establishment of a nonprofit community foundation for the purposes of accepting and using funds donated to the city, authorize the city manager to work with the city attorney's office to prepare the documents, authorize the city manager to designate members to serve on the board, approve the recommendation of the nonprofit of the name, and require annual reports to be presented to City Council on the foundation's activities. In short, this means that this action before you would allow staff to move forward with processing the necessary documents for this nonprofit as discussed this evening. With that, myself and City Attorney Fred Galante are both available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Jackie. Would anyone like to address City Council on this item? Stubby, come on up.
Good evening, councilors. Sorry, my voice is a little weak right now. So this is something that's long overdue. However, the submissions that have been given to you tonight have some problems. Number 3 item states that it would not be subject to the Brown Act, and that is incorrect. Any action, any committee created by action of the council, which is what you're being asked to do tonight, or expenditures by the city is going to be subject to the Brown Act. There's a multitude of legal precedences on that. Personally, Of the three options, option 2 is the one that should be established, not option 3. In addition, you should consider members at large from the community. Most community foundations are actually comprised of non-political and non-bureaucratic entities or personnel. The board should be as independent as possible. Item 2 to some extent, but item 3 also creates obvious conflict of interest because the people on the board are also the people that are the recipients at their work for the results of any foundation grants that benefit the city. So I think this needs to go back and be reconsidered for what is best and most legal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else in the audience would like to address the council on this item? No? Seeing none? Fred, are you able to address the Brown Act issue, please?
Yes, thank you. Pardon me. The scope of that option 3 is for the city manager to have discretion to select the board. Although it's a foundation that's authorized by the council, the key component is that there is no funding that is contemplated to be provided to this foundation. It's the concept, as I understand it, and Ms. Melendez can correct me, is for it to be self-funded and funded through donations. So because the designation of board members is left to the discretion of the city manager, that would not be subject to the Brown Act.
All right. Thank you very much for that explanation. Open it up for council comments at this time.
Want to go first?
Karen?
I like the idea of the foundation. I agree that the foundation is long overdue. I think there's been prominent community members who've wanted to leave endowments or gifts to the city in order to accomplish good things, but we haven't had the appropriate foundation. I do not understand why we would want to limit the scope or community input or of the meeting somehow. When I look at other foundations, I look at their ability to, particularly, maybe not private foundations, but this one is a little different because it's a public foundation. And I guess maybe I just don't completely understand, even after reading the report and some of the things we discussed during the meeting, why we would not want some of that oversight or input. So I'm not saying that that it has been, that is incorrect. I just don't know that that's the best way for us to go. I just want to talk about it here on the dais with the council. But I think I do like option 3 the best. I can understand why we would want, somebody from the public and maybe not a member of the public sometimes, on this committee because we're trying to accomplish, greater staff projects. But I don't know, I just want to hear from the rest of my team members right now.
Mark?
Yeah, I also agree. I like the idea of a foundation for the specific reasons that Councilmember Comstock said, and then obviously there's people that do projects here that obviously want to leave community benefit, but in order for us to do anything like that, there has to be a foundation. I looked at number 2, as far as the 2 councils serving on the board, but then I do think the same thing, that then you run the risk of people saying, well, these people are donating more money to this council member for a favorable decision. So I agree with not going with item number 2. Option number 3, I think, is the best option, but I think it should be open where people can attend and we can talk about some, how they're going to spend the money or whatever money they may raise. but I know that some people are going to donate money specifically for certain things to occur. So, you know, the input might be limited because, you know, whoever might be donating money might say, hey, I really want this to go to the cultural arts, and we may have to put it all towards that. So I don't want people to think that, you know, it's just a big pot of money that, and everybody gets to decide what's important to them. You know, it all really depends on the people that are donating the money and what they're specifically asking us to accomplish within the city. If it's the arts, if it's for, you know, sports or what have you. But I do agree option 3 is a better one.
Chris?
So option 1, option 4, not in favor of those. I definitely think we need a foundation. Option 2, I like, and I'm 51% leaning towards option number 2 only because as council, we represent the people, we're the voice of the people, and the people won't have a voice if we go with option 3. I'm open to both of them. I think at the end of the day, we just need to create a foundation and get going with this.
But Chris, I mean, wouldn't we, even with this, the board, like, the project would still have to come to the council for unanimous approval? I mean, the council, if they were serving on 2, I understand what you're saying. In the end, the project is still gonna have to come to us. So, I think where maybe my interpretation, and Jackie can clarify, is like, you just want to be careful when you put the council on there that when people make that donation, it's not misperceived as a donation to the sitting council member. You know, people are always going to make, you know, I think make that accusation sometimes, or that assumption. And let's face it, it has happened in the past. But what I think the staff is trying to do here is to keep it as you know, less political as possible, knowing that in the end, whatever project that they vet will come to the council for approval.
Yeah, I see that. I think that option 2, option 3, that political issue is going to be there.
Yeah.
But again, I'm open to option 2 or option 3. I'm not saying option 3 is not for me.
And if the council were to decide to go with option 2 too, I can understand why we want to do that as well. To Chris's point, I think we are out in the community and have a lot of contacts in the community and can speak to projects that we think the public would enjoy.
That was my second point. In terms of discussions, I think that, sure, it does come back to the council, but, you know, the discussions leading up to that, again, you would have the voice of the people in there as well. Again, I'm open to option 2 or option 3. At the end of the day, I think we do need a foundation. So I think either option is not a bad option.
Well, I think this is a tremendous opportunity for the city that's long overdue. This is something that other cities have been doing for quite a long time. This is, monetarily speaking, you know, the monies that would come in here would be very, I believe, would be responsibly handled by our staff. I'm inclined to go with recommendation number 3, our staff's recommendation. But I think that if we don't do something like this, we're going to be missing the boat again. And I think this is a great opportunity for us, as I mentioned. And so what I need to know is there anybody that would not like to go with the staff's recommendation? And we can get a vote on this.
I don't have an opposition, Mayor Pro Tem. I think you're correct. Long overdue. We want to do it, and staff is definitely on the right track with this. But I guess the question is, you know, if we wanted to subject it to rules, you know, maybe not similar to the Brown Act, but some sort of public accountability or attendance, can we do that? Is there a method for us to do that?
You know, I think there is an argument that you could treat it as a Brown Act body. I know Mr. Barr said so. You could certainly follow the rules. It's, you know, the staff is familiar with it. And it's easy enough to post the agendas and open it up to the public.
Jackie, is there a reason why we wouldn't want to?
Thank you. What I would say is Currently, the city, there are grants that come out into the world, especially in the private sector, where we as a city entity, we are not eligible for them. So having a nonprofit arm would allow us to go after those items. So this really is more about the ability to infuse new grant opportunities with ease into our community. There's nothing that precludes other community members from creating their own nonprofits here in town, and that's something that we would hope to encourage and to be able to help people to do that. When it comes to donations, usually when you're getting donations or you're getting grants, those dollars are earmarked usually by the folks that are giving them to you. So we as staff would go out and we would fundraise for a specific event, or we would fundraise for a specific project, and then what would happen is those funds would be earmarked for those items. If it's a grant, the grant is for what the grant is for, and usually, as anybody who has worked on grants, they know that that there's going to be stipulations and there's going to be a lot of strings attached to the grants that you get, how you can spend them and how you can't. And so that usually is dictated by the grant that comes in. So what this does is it provides us a more flexible option to be able to really just bring more funding into our community. There are not enough grant dollars coming into our community for small business development, for parks and recreation, for arts. And so to be able to have a robust and a nimble structure that can go out there, get those grants, bring them into the city, and infuse them, usually before we even receive them, those dollars are going to be earmarked for whatever it is. And the accountability measure that we have that we've embedded into recommendation 3 would be that there would be an annual report to the council. There would likely be other reports as activities arise or as projects come up. We would be bringing it to this body here and opening it up to public comment for folks to know exactly what's happening and what the activities are and what grants are coming in. Would likely do press releases and things like that to advertise the wonderful things that are going on. But really what we want to do is be able to bring in more funds for our community, and then also be able, there is an opportunity to re-grant. So to bring in grants and then to serve when nonprofits and foundations, same entity, but sometimes they operate a little bit differently. Foundations do re-grant. And so that would be a key goal of being able to quickly bring in funds and distribute them into the community. And I don't think folks would be upset with getting new revenues of streams of revenue into the community for all the various things that our folks do here.
So how often would we expect this board to meet?
So what will happen next is we'll create the bylaws, and the bylaws will have the cadence of the meetings. So we could have the board meet monthly. We could have it meet as little as annually. It could meet quarterly, but really it's the activities of going after the grants and bringing in donations and sponsorships and corporate responsibility and all that kind of stuff, which folks, the city is a tax exempt entity, but sometimes the way that foundations and other organizations are set up, they're looking for that 501c3. So, that's just another point. But that's something that you can direct right now. If you want to say you want it to meet quarterly, if you want it to meet monthly, I would suggest probably quarterly, and the least amount would be annually as a board. And that's something that you could direct now, and Fred would put that in the bylaws as we file our articles of incorporation.
So if we were to suggest that the board were to meet quarterly, even though I know that Fred has told us that we don't believe that the board is subject to the Brown Act, as part of the direction tonight, could we suggest that the board comply with the Brown Act, or do its best to comply with the Brown Act?
Absolutely.
As a policy.
As a policy?
Within the
Absolutely.
bylaws.
Just throwing it out there.
I like that idea. We have other entities that were involved in JPAs and whatnot, and specifically speaking, the Water Master. Although they're not subject to the Brown Act, they follow that policy, or have made that a policy that they follow the Brown Act, just to keep everything as
Best practice.
transparent and best practice as possible. So I would also make that recommendation.
I just look at it that way, like some of the complaints we even hear occur from even, for example, one of the boards you sit on with for the ARC, right? You hear some of these complaints, and I think there's a reason that act is in place, and there's some best practices that are established, and I don't think it could hurt for this board to operate in the same fashion.
And also, talking about transparency, as we do receive those grants or monies that come in, as you mentioned, Jackie, put out a press release, post that on our social media, so our people are aware of what's going on within that entity. We could do that as well. Any other comments?
I'm on board.
Mark?
I'm fine with it.
Nothing? So we're going to go with the staff's recommendation, and I'm going to ask for a motion and a second on this item.
With a clarification,
Go ahead.
pardon me, that it's subject to the Brown Act.
In the policy.
Yes.
And then I guess I would ask for Jackie's recommendation while the board is getting up and running for how often you think the board needs to meet?
I think that what we quarterly would be sufficient, but I also think that exploring what does that mean for a 501c3 to comply with the Brown Act. I think that what I would ask council is allow Fred to go back and clarify and see what does that look like, because we might say that here, and what that means to the council might mean something different to other folks, and so that will get vetted out in the bylaws. But I think that to say it's subject to the Brown Act, that can mean a lot of different things, and so that would be something that I think we should vet out a little bit more.
I think we're saying we're going to agree with Fred's recommendation that it's not subject to the Brown Act, right? We believe that, but we should try to operate the meeting and the noticing
Yeah.
in compliance with this policy. So I think we're in agreement with your recommendation, but I think we should try to operate as if we were.
So to understand this, so we're going to have a board comprised of 5 people. And so if they want to talk about, let's say somebody says, I want to donate and give you $1 million for the arts within the city and put up statues or what have you.
Yeah.
The board members, no more than 2 can talk about it because they're going to be subject to the Brown Act. So they can't, and they will only be able to meet quarterly to be able to discuss this. I think we're handcuffing them.
Okay.
So they can't even have creative conversations about what they may be thinking about or what they may want to create, because now we're limiting these individuals to only 2 people being able to talk about potential ideas unless they have a formal meeting, and then they all can talk about it at the same time.
But isn't my understanding of it that the staff is actually, like Jackie and her team, would be soliciting the donations, but it's the board actions that would be subject to the Brown Act, not the donation, right? Not if they were, or is that incorrect?
Well, I think once you start talking about projects, you're limiting them only to 2 people having conversations. And unless they have a full meeting, and then so like if all of a sudden they want to do, any type of design, so all the design work and everything will have to be at a public meeting. They won't be able to have meetings with, let's say, they bring in somebody that's going to do the work. These people are going to have to be able to meet no more than 2 people at a time to be able to discuss how they want to move forward with it, or potential proposals, or what have you. So I don't know. I think when we start doing the Brown Act, then we start kind of handcuffing them to the ability of them being able to be creative and come up with.
Is this correct, Fred? Do you agree?
Fred, can you
So,
clarify?
what I understand and the goal of this body to be is it's a recipient of potential community benefit donations from members of the public, including potential applicants for certain projects. The staff remains free to, staff remains free to discuss projects. It's just the acceptance of donations and the like that pertain to the funding of an operation of the nonprofit. So I think to Councilmember Lucio's point, to the extent that there's design issues and things of the like, that's development services, and the members of the board can participate in that. That's not speaking to the particular community donation that is the subject of the foundation. So to me, it seems as though if they do want to have a meeting before, whether it's quarterly or monthly, they can always call a special meeting. It's 24 hours notice. That is definitely an option, because I'm hearing the council having a preference for open meetings. In that case, when they're actually speaking about what are we going to do with the funds, is it going to be donated to the foundation? How is that structured? That is part of the foundation's purpose, and it would be subject to the Brown Act, but design issues, planning, entitlement, all the other items would not. That's not within its subject matter.
So we'd be all right with doing it that way then?
Right. Obviously, they'd have to just be cautious on speaking about donations.
So the Brown Act only applies to them when they're getting donations, but let's say, for example, if they're talking about a project that they want to do, and there's a presentation or they're going over, that is not subject to the Brown Act.
If you'd like to make it subject to the Brown Act, it's everything that nonprofit does. So it's the receipt of the donations and the expenditures, right? But it's not design and the normal things that planning speaks about, public improvements that a project coming forward that happens to agree to donate to the city is dealing with. Those are normal city functions. It's the donation and then the expenditure of the funds that would be within its subject matter jurisdiction, which is what the Brown Act talks about. Anything within its subject matter jurisdiction has to be done in open session.
So there's other foundations, such as the one we're trying to create, that are operating right now in other cities that are not subject to the Brown Act?
I created one, but the council members wanted to sit on it, so it is subject to the Brown Act. I suspect there are others. I personally haven't created that.
So the way I'm seeing this or hearing, it would be good to, the entity is not subject to the Brown Act. However, we could use the Brown Act guidelines as we move forward in this, but we're not subject to the Brown Act. So the question is, why even worry about it, right, Mark? I mean, why would we, like you said, why would we handcuff ourselves to that if we're not subject to it? I understand we'd like to go with maybe some guidelines from the Brown Act. However, we're not subject to it. I like the idea of being transparent to our community. I'm just trying to figure out what other way we can do that.
So I think, having said that, I think staff understands where we're going with this. I agree with some of the comments that Mark and Kurt have made. You know, I think there's reasons that these policies and these laws are in place. I think, Fred, when you write the articles, right, that's obviously going to have to come back. I would say, hey, let's, adopt the recommendation with these comments and concerns. When you write the articles for the foundation, take some of these, these best practices and try to implement them, even though we believe that they're not going to be subject to the Brown Act.
And the concept was actually not to bring back the articles or any of the other steps, but certainly if the council would like that, that's fine. I think I understand the direction. I always think it's easier to just reference the Brown Act and follow it to the extent that there is clarity by applying the Brown Act rather than sort of picking and choosing without making that sound negative. But
I think Mark brings up a good point. We don't want to put these people in a position where they can't, operate in a manner that is most conducive to the foundation. It's interesting when I asked, like, hey, so there's other entities right now functioning this way, and they didn't think that, and you had another council say, hey, I kind of agree with this, but I'm willing to go with whatever my team recommends done.
I can certainly look at what other clients of ours have done to the extent other cities have created foundations that aren't staffed by the council.
So can we vote on this to move it forward and create the foundation, and then you can let us know whether or not we have to make that foundation subject to the Brown Act?
Certainly.
Okay, can we do that?
So that piece remains. I know, like I said, I know Mr. Barr has a strong opinion. I think he has an argument because it's created by the council, but generally, if it's not the council members appointing the board members and it's being funded by the city, that is a reason why the Brown Act would be exempt. I understand his argument, though.
I think we want to, trust in your recommendation to us, Fred, but, I think Mark's recommendation is best tonight, so.
So one option is just to come back and I can provide further details and what other cities do, or you can authorize it today.
Well, I mean, because my understanding is it's going to take about 9 months to get this thing up and going, so we'll move forward with creating it. And then if you can give us some clarification on some of the bylaws that we got to put in place, then we can come back in and decide on that.
It gives us time and a chance to study it and make a better decision moving forward. And if we don't need it, we don't need it, but if there's a reason we should have it, then we can talk about that. I like that idea. In fact, I'll make that a motion, Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll second.
Chris, you have it?
Oh, there's a comment, there's a public comment.
I apologize. Stub, you have
I'll
anything?
rescind my motion.
Would you like to comment? We'll go ahead and open public again.
Thank you for reopening public comments. So, Mr. Galante maybe didn't do the best job of explaining it to you. If the council would act as a portal to accept the funding from the public, from a 501(c)(3), in this case, you could also do it through a G foundation. They are completely transparent already, okay? 501(c), their entitled financials, all their actions, all of their membership, everything is subject to public disclosure. It all boils down to how you write the bylaws. If the bylaws allow the foundation to act only as a financial instrument, right? An endowment that's then portaled to the city, then it's subject to the Brown Act. But the projects themselves, the details of the project themselves are not. That's just the normal business of the city. If you include those projects in the bylaws, then they're also subject to the Brown Act. Does that make sense? No. Then I'm not doing a good job of explaining it either. But there's a separation between accepting the financial donations and the actual projects themselves. They may not even be projects. Sometimes it's just a cash donation and you just portal it in.
That's what I asked earlier. I'm like, hey, this board's function right here, I think, is getting the money. But the projects itself, right, once they decide on them, would eventually come back to the council for approval.
Correct. The foundation is not going to create, for instance, Parks and Recs. We already have Parks and Recs, right? That's just part of our normal government function. The bylaws need to be limited only to financial support. And then the city council's action needs to be limited only to accepting that financial support through a portal. That's it.
Thank you.
Make sense?
Yeah. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Fred, would you like to speak to that?
No, I appreciate Mr. Barr's comment. I think the one thing that seems a little confusing is to use the word portal, because this is not any funding going to the city. It is to be thought of as an independent entity. It actually is a separately created corporation. It decides whether or not to, how it donates funds to recreational activity, whatever activities, beautification activities, anything that benefits the community. It wouldn't be put into the city's general fund. It's not a portal, so I appreciate the clarification. I just want to make sure that point is clear.
So that conversation having happened, I'd like to restate my motion, which was to, what Mark had said, let's move forward with establishing the foundation and work out some of the details with the subjectivity of the Brown Act at a later time.
Establishing and staff's recommendation, option 3.
Yes, that's what I recommend.
Okay. Motion by Councilmember Comstock, second.
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Flores. Please vote. And the item passes 4 yes with the mayor absent. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on to mayor and council reports. I will start this off. I have item number 9, Community Support Fund. I'd like to request approval. Community Support Fund contributions to Chino American Little League, Chino National Little League, Chino Girls Fast Pitch, and the Chino Kiwanis Club. If I can get a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilmember Flores, seconded by Councilmember Lucio. Please vote. And the item passes 4 yes with mayor absent. And I'll go on with my report. On February 18th, I had the honor and pleasure of being part of Student Government Day right here at City Hall. All of our high school students within the Chino Unified School District participated in this. Mayor for the day, police chief for the day. They went into all the different schools. I'd specifically like to thank Natalie Gonzaga, our clerk, for the exceptional job she did at putting it together. Natalie, thank you very much. It was a great time. A lot of kids participated. More than anything else, they learned a lot about government. So that was pretty neat. After that, I went to the Planning Commission meeting. On the 19th, I attended a Water Master Advisory meeting, and then that was followed by the West End Mayor's Roundtable meeting. On the 23rd, a meeting with a city resident. On the 24th, the 7th Annual Chino Valley Mayor's Prayer Breakfast that was held down at NFI here in the city. There were several thousand, I believe, people that were there. It was just a lot of people, and it was a great event, and I think it gets bigger and bigger every year. But our staff was there. It was really neat to have that function going on here in our city. Then I met with a property owner in town on the 25th. I attended the Animal Resource Center meeting. State of the City interviews after that on the 26th. I attended the Water Master Board meeting, and that was followed by the Chino DeSalter Authority Finance Committee. And then on March 2nd, my one-on-one with the Assistant City Manager. And then what followed that evening, it was actually yesterday, I attended a volunteer dinner for Food for Life Ministries. And that concludes my report. I'll hand it over to you, Karen.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I think the public, or most of the public that knows me knows that I'm an avid tennis player, and I suffered a pretty good injury this past week playing tennis. I have a stress fracture in my left foot, so really the only thing I was able to accomplish in the past several days is actually filming the state of the city. Hopefully my doctor's not watching because I don't have my walking boot on or my cast on tonight. He won't be watching because he has no interest in watching this, but I just want to thank staff for all their work tonight. Thank you, Jackie, for the foundation recommendation. And that's like I said, my report's going to be short this evening because I have spent the past several days trying to keep my foot elevated above my knee. So thank you, sir.
Councilmember Flores, you have item number 10.
Yes, I'm asking for approval of Community Support Fund contributions to the Chino National Little League.
Can I get a motion for that?
I make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Comstock, second by Councilmember Lucio. Please vote. And the item passes 4 yes with the mayor absent. Please go ahead with your council report.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So real quick, with Chino, Team Chino corporate challenges coming up, I gotta say I've already vetted and spoke with Karen. She will be ready for pickleball,
Yes,
so
I
still
will.
expect her to show up, okay?
Thank you, Chris.
And just to the foundation conversation, thank you for bringing that, Jackie. It's a big deal. I just want to clarify, at least for me, and I think for the rest of the council, for the staff and the community to know, I think the biggest thing was just we want to make sure there's transparency and input from the community, which I know that's probably at the foundation of what you guys are planning for anyway, and especially when donations are not earmarked. But with that being said, on the 20th, I attended the District Attorney Community Commission meeting. There, I got to say to our police department, if you can let the chief know, that the conversation was on officer-involved shootings, and our Chino Police Department got so much praise from our district attorney, different things we talked about, and maybe it was because I was in attendance. He was playing politics, but no, I think he was very sincere, so congratulations on that. On the 21st, along with Councilmember Lucio, I attended the grand opening for Code Ninjas down in the preserve. A lot of growth happening down there. If you have any children who are interested in learning how to code, and what they do is they teach children how to code creating video games, so that's pretty cool. And on the 24th, I attended the West Valley Mosquito and Vector Control District Board meeting. That being said, that concludes my comments. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Mark?
Yeah, on the 21st, I attended the Code Ninjas grand opening. From what I was told is that they pretty much have leased out all the spaces that they had down there in that shopping center, so that's great to see. And they have moved forward. They said that now that they can announce that the In-N-Out will be coming. It's still in the process of some of the planning, but it should be coming down to the preserve. Also, I did on the 23rd, I did the State of the City interview there at Kenwood's. I wasn't expecting it to be open, but everything's a nice surprise, I guess. And on the 23rd, I also met with our city staff just to meet and go over some stats, which we then ended up meeting the next day with Lewis Communities regarding the apartments that they have down there. And so we did. They were very, very interested in what they can do to correct some of the issues that we have down there at the Park House. I'm sorry, not the Park House, but no, it's not the Meadow House.
Homecoming.
It's a Homecoming. And so I believe they've hired some security there. I've also been contacted by a person that they got that they're going to try to implement some programs for the youth down there. So she's reached out, and we're trying to get a meeting with our city staff so we can both work together to try to get some things going down there. So the meeting was very, very positive. Lewis came, and they're very, very concerned with what's going on in there, and they seem to be wanting to work with us so that we can move forward and make that community much better. On the 2nd, I attended a meeting with Midori Consultants and Bridge Housing for a potential project that they have in the works. They seem like they want to build something nice here in the community, so it's in the beginning stages. They're in the process of submitting an application. And on the 3rd, I met with the city manager, or actually the assistant city manager this morning because the city manager was sick. But one of the things I do want to say is I want to congratulate the Chino wrestling team. They have won CIF for the 5th year in a row. And the only reason it's the 5th year in a row is because in 2021 they had COVID, so they didn't compete, but they did win in 2020. So they have a good streak going over there. And I also want to congratulate Natalie Blanco, who has now become the first 2-time state champion representing Chino High School. And also for Zach Samano, who came in 6th place at state. And I also want to end with wishing my son good luck. He's competing in the Pac-12 championships in wrestling this weekend, so hopefully he does well. And I also want to express my condolences to the families that lost their sons and daughters over the Iran war that we currently are having. So my prayers go out to the families and my condolences. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. City Manager's report.
No report at this time, thank you.
City Attorney.
No report, thank you.
Director's report. Come on up, Pajan.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council. I have 2 updates for you. You may see some signs out there by the EMT parking lot and employee parking lot and by NAC. And we got $250,000 in grant, and they call it a turnkey turf removal program through IUA, and they just began today. So you'll see some of the grass that's gonna start to go brown and it'll be ripped out and it'll be replaced with drought-tolerant landscape. So it's gonna look beautiful in hopefully by summertime. And number 2 update that I want to provide for you is, as you recall, as a part of our initiative, we talked about a citywide urban forest management program. So that project kicked off in January. So we are in the process of working on our urban forest management plan. It's going to take about 18 months to 24 months to complete it. So it'll be complete sometime end of next year. So we're really excited to see that one come to fruition so that we could start planning for what types of trees we can plant in what locations. So right tree for right locations.
Thank you very much. Police Chief's report, Deputy Chief Murata.
Well, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and members of council. The only thing I have tonight is we're excited to announce that tomorrow is our department award ceremony, where we get to celebrate the great work of the men and women of the Chino Police Department. We're very fortunate to work in a community that supports us so well, and that's evidenced by the daily phone calls and emails we receive to the watch commander. But tomorrow is really about celebrating the accomplishments that our members have had over the past year. So we know several members of the council are planning on attending. We look forward to seeing you there to celebrate with us.
Thank you very much. I tell you, there's a lot of functions, a lot of meetings that we attend throughout the year. That's probably one of my very favorite ones is the police department's award ceremony. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks.
So thank you very
See
much.
you tomorrow evening.
Fire Chief Williams.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, and community members. Just real quick, part of history. Following COVID, or prior to COVID, we used to be able to build truck companies in about 12 months to 18 months. And following COVID, those take us about 4 years to get built now. So I just wanted to let the council know and the community know that our new truck company is now in service. It went into service 2 days ago. Typically what happens is we put that in service, we work out the bugs, we take it back out of service temporarily, correct those issues, and then put it back in service. So it's a big deal. It's for us at the fire service, it's kind of on par with, I know you just are getting a new airship in Chino PD. With respects to costs and those kinds of things, this is kind of our equivalent in the fire service. So we don't buy very many of these. We like them to last a long time. They're very expensive, but the community will certainly get the service out of it. And so I just wanted to let you know.
Great. Thank you very much, Chief. And based on Councilmember Lucio's comments in regards to our men and women of the armed forces that have lost their lives in the last few days, I'd like to close a meeting in memory of those individuals. I'm sorry I don't have the exact names, but I'd like to close a meeting in memory of the men and women of our armed forces that have recently lost their lives. The next meeting of the City Council will be a study session held on Tuesday, March 10th, 2026 at 6 p.m. The next meeting of the City Council will be held on Tuesday, March 24th, 2026 at 6 p.m. Closed session no earlier than 4 p.m. if necessary in these council chambers.